throwing for 25, 30 touchdowns.
Easy.
Look, and I understand the rules have a lot to do with that. The way they protect the quarterback, the way they protect the receiver, the way they throw the football now is more conducive for quarterback having better stats. But I do think these guys are a little bit more advanced than when the older guys, the Montanas and the Elways and the Marinos, when they came out. I'm not saying they're better, but they're coached more. Yeah. And so John probably never. I don't know if Danny or John to be interesting. Man, you had a pro coach. You had a Tom House, or you have what's Carson Palmer's brother?
Jordan Palmer's real deal.
Did you have a Jordan Palmer? Did you have a George Whitfield? Did you have any of those guys to help you? All these quarterbacks, they have those. Offensive linemen, they're working out with offensive line coaches. They're working out with former great NFL linemen. So they're a little bit more advanced than say the guys, even if you want to say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, definitely when you start going back 20, 30 years ago, they're more advanced. Just like the guys that are coming out in basketball. You see how, and even baseball, these guys, fathers played, and so they got, hitting coaches, they got pitching coaches, they're looking at biomechanics, and they're looking at all of that.
The funny thing about it, you think about the time as the time change, and technology is advanced, and everything evolves, they have better resources. They got unlimited resources. Absolutely. To get better at said position, whatever it may be, whatever their respective craft may be, to hone that skill set so when they get to the highest level, they look the par. Right. Now, it's one thing to look the par. Everybody, the it factor to get you in the door, but you got to have all the other stuff that comes with it to excel.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I thought Cam Ward played really well, especially that second drive. You got the ball to Calvin Ridley. Ridley, that's somebody he can lean heavily on because he's one of the premier route runners, and he started to look like Calvin Ridley again. Because you remember that last year that he really played in Atlanta.
He was cutting. He was cutting.
He was doing it. He was really doing it. On the other side of the ball, rookie Shiloh Sanders delivered multiple big hits, including one on Brandon Allen on a blitz. First-round draft pick Emeka Ibuka also showed off his physical attributes, leaping 21-yard grab, backup quarterback Kyle Trask. Shador's played really well. I've seen footage of him in camp. He did a great job of in the one-on-one period against the tight ends. Did a great job. I saw it. He's on it. He was on it. Because you have to understand, he started out at the corner. So he does have corner instinct.
I thought he was always.
Yeah, he started out as a corner and then moved to safety. But when I thought he played well. We know he's a thumper. He's looking to get down here and put big hits on him. Yeah, but I thought and I think. It's going to be interesting, Ocho, how many special teams can he play? Because that's going to be the key. He's not a starter. Now, he could be working his way into the starting lineup, but as of right now, I don't think he's a starter. So now, what other ways can you contribute?
He'll be on special teams, whether it be field goal block, whether it be kickoff.
Punt return. Can you be a jammer? Can you be a gunner?
Yeah.
Can you be on the front line? Can you be a L 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the front line? You definitely gonna be on kickoff, obviously.
Yeah. Hey, is it me, or does it seem like kickoff is much easier as opposed to how it was during our day? Where you had the wedge buster, you had the
they don't really want those type of collisions. So they don't. If you see, they're not letting you get that kind of running start.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not. I think Hester said he'd have probably more return touchdowns had they had it in like that. So it's been interesting to see what would have happened. But the advancements, I don't have a problem with Joe. Sometimes
it's different.
It's very different. It's very different. The guy that you really like in the first round, the Bucks selected Emeka Ibuka. You like him. You like McMillan, Carolina.
They both look good.
first round or the second round?
Matthew Golden.
Oh, yeah.
McMillan in the second round. He ran both.
First, number 23. Then they had James Higgins went in the second round. Luther Burton III went in the second round. Trey Harris went in the second round. And Jack Beach went in the second round. So there were, in the first 2 rounds, there were 7 receivers that went in the first 2 rounds. Who do you expect to have the biggest impact?
Probably, honestly, out of everyone you just named, I know Matthew Golden is good. He's phenomenal. Obviously, they do have Dubs. They have Jay Reed, so I don't think he will get the number of targets necessary to be able to showcase
Reed, Dobbs,
Watson. There's so many of them over there. I think he will contribute, but I really believe T-Mac, McMillan over there with the Panthers, and what he's able to do and what he showed, very small sample size, honestly. It's been one preseason game, but again, I've been high on the Panthers. I think T-Mac is going to be one to showcase his ability and what he can do. It's a mismatch every time they leave him one-on-one. He's very tall. He can run after the catch, and the 50-50 ball turn into 80-20 when it is him. So I'm excited for him. He's the one I'm highest on, and hoping that not just him, but collectively as a group, offensively as a receiving core, I think they make the difference in Bryce Young taking the next step in his career.
I agree. I think him. I like Ibuka also for the simple fact, how healthy
is Chris God?
Will Godwin be a punt return? Is he going? I don't think he's gonna punt, but so it's gonna be interesting to see how he used. Because we know Baker can throw it. You got Mr. Consistency on one side, Mike Evans. And then, so Booker could really have a huge year. But I like McMillan also. Long, angular guy. What he's like 6'3", 6'4". Make tough contested catches. Good run after the catch. Yeah, I think he's good. I think Matthew Golden. I mean, you look at Romeo Dobbs. You mentioned Christian Watson. You mentioned Reed. They got a lot of receivers. They don't really have a guy that, like, okay, this is the guy that you got to worry about. You kind of got to worry about them all, because at any given moment, because it might be Dobbs one week, and then it'll be Christian Watson. Watson's biggest thing is health.
Hey, he can put him up and put him down. Hell, the goddamn Packers got a 4x1 team, huh? They got a 4x1 team. Dubs, Watson, Reed can fly. Golden can fly. Man, stop playing.
Good spot on the field to go for it. Kind of no man's land, as they call it, and it worked out.
Yeah, they call it no man's land because the punter's telling you it's too short. I think McMillan and Ibuka would have the biggest. But I'm not going to sleep on, Luther Burton. A lot of people thought he'd be a first-round draft pick, receiver out of Missouri. He goes to the Bears. They got DJ Moore. They got Roma Doomsday. They drafted a tight end in the first round. They still have Cole Kmet. They upgraded their offensive line. They should be, and they got Detroit's old offensive coordinator as the head coach calling the play.
Creativity.
Yeah. So they should definitely be better offensively. And if they are better offensively, well, big number. Because if you look at Detroit, you look at Jameson Williams, had a phenomenal season. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Had a big season.
You know what's funny? Is Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's one of the top 5 receivers, depending on how you put him in the order in the NFL. Well, I really think it didn't matter who was calling the goddamn plays, because he's so good at just route running in general. He's a polished one. You know what? I don't have to scheme you open. He's one of those where offensive coordinators and your head coach, you know what? I can sleep at night because I ain't got to worry about that one. It don't matter who he's playing. I don't have to worry about him. I know what he can do. So you add what he can do in his skill set, his DNA, and then you put that with the creativity that Ben Johnson has. You saw last year. You get magic. You get magic. Now, I don't know if there's anyone like that with that type of skill set similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Bears, but DJ Moore is damn good. He's not that far behind.
He doesn't have that short area quickness like that. That's not what he is. Can he play the slot? Yeah, but he's an outside the number. He and Roma Dunze are outside the number type of guys.
All right.
So
he's gonna be all right. The good thing about it is Ben Johnson is going to understand and know his players' strengths and put them in position to be able to make those plays and not allow them to be exposed in whatever their weakness is that we can't see watching from home. We don't know it. They know it.
Power game to try to get in, and he'll get in. Touchdown, Cowboys. Taking it in from 2 yards out, and the Cowboys have answered that early field goal to take a first-quarter lead.
You don't have to be a VIP to get more than just savings with Geico. Every customer gets 24/7 fast-friendly claims support.
Could I get a picture?
Yeah, it's not like you run into animal celebrities every day.
Stop! It's just the ball!
get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
And he'll be stopped right around where he would have been had he gone down to a knee, maybe a yard shy of there at the 24. They were trying to create some space to run. They created the penalty.
And you work on it so much. You work on it so hard. But it's tough to simulate game speed in practice. That often runs you into a penalty.
Pollard will take it up the gut. And nothing much materializing there on the first down run. He'll get a couple, and that's it.
And the big fella stuffed that one up in a big way. I think doubling him has to be a priority because you can't move up to the next level if you don't take care of him first.
Successful investing does not require stratospheric IQ, insider information, or luck for that matter. Instead, what's needed is a sound intellectual framework for making decisions combined with an ability to keep emotions from ruining it. In The Intelligent Investor, Benjamin Graham presents such a framework, together with logic that will help to keep your emotions under control. Arguably, his investing strategy has been one of the most successful ones during the last 100 years. The impressive records, not just of Graham himself, but also numerous of his disciples, are impossible to ignore. Among these, the brightest shining star is Warren Buffett, who at the time of this video making is the third wealthiest man in the world. Warren Buffett refers to this book as, by far, the best book on investing ever written. In this video, I'll present the, in my opinion, greatest takeaways from the book. Takeaway number 1, meet Mr. Market. Imagine that you own a part of a business that you paid $1,000 for. Every day, a certain bipolar person called Mr. Market comes to your home with an opinion about how much your part of that business is worth. Furthermore, he offers to buy your share or sell you an additional one on that basis. History has shown that Mr. Market's opinion about how much your part of the business is worth can be pure gibberish. For instance, back in March 2000, he estimated the value of your share to be $2,600. Only 1 year later, in March 2001, he thought it was worth $500, even though the income of the company increased with 50% and the profit increased by 20% during the same period. Should you let this guy decide how much of $1,000 of interest in that business is worth? Of course not. One of Graham's core principles is that a stock is not just a ticker symbol combined with a price tag. It's an ownership interest in a business. And because Mr. Market isn't always rational, the underlying value of the business can differ from the price he is willing to pay for it. In fact, it frequently is over or underpriced, as Mr. Market easily becomes over-optimistic, or conversely, too pessimistic. Graham advises you to invest only if you would feel comfortable to hold the stock in the future without seeing the fluctuating prices that Mr. Market presents you with. But the investor who can keep his head cool, Mr. Market presents a great possibility of making money. For he doesn't force you to strike a deal with him. He merely presents you with an opportunity of doing so. You should be happy to sell to him when he offers prices that are ridiculously high, and similarly, you should be happy to buy from him when he presents you with bargains. We must consider that at the time when Graham wrote this book, people were far less bombarded with news, forecasts, stock quotes, and so on than we are today. Back in the 1970s, Mr. Market arrived once a day, together with a morning newspaper. Today, he wants to do business with us every time we open our phone, which, if you're anything like me, is more than 100 times every day. Just because Mr. Market visits you often, it doesn't mean that you must trade with him any more frequently than people had to in the 1970s. If he doesn't present you with an offer that meets your standards, ignore him and move on with your day. Takeaway number 2, how to invest as a defensive investor. There are 2 types of investors, according to Graham. the defensive or passive one, and the enterprising or active one. Most people defensive strategy, as the time they are willing to dedicate to investing is limited. The defensive investor should create a portfolio with a mixture of bonds and stocks, say 50% stocks and 50% bonds. Note that how much you should devote to each asset category depends on your life situation and the current difference in the average yield of stocks versus bonds. Restore this allocation once or twice every year, so that if stocks suddenly make up 60% of the portfolio compared to only 40% in bonds, sell stocks and buy bonds until 50-50 is restored. Invest a fixed amount of capital at regular intervals. For instance, straight after you get your salary. This is called dollar cost averaging and will allow for a fair average price of stocks and bonds. Most of all, it will ensure that you don't concentrate your buying at the wrong time. For the stock component of the portfolio, the defensive investor should aim for the following 8. 1. Diversification in the companies he invests in. 10 to 30 companies should be adequate. Also, make sure that you are not overexposed to a single industry. 2. The companies should be large, which Graham defined as generating more than $100 million in yearly sales. After inflation, this equals approximately to $700 million in today's value. 3. Look for companies that are conservatively financed. Such a company has a so-called current ratio of at least 200%. This means that its current assets are at least twice as big as its current liabilities. 4. Dividends should have been paid to shareholders for at least the last 20 years. 5. No earnings deficit in the last 10 years. 6. At least in earnings during the last 10 years. This translates to a conservative growth of 2.9% annually. 7. Don't overpay for assets. The price of the stock should not be higher than 1.5 times its net asset value. The net asset value can be calculated by subtracting the company's liabilities from its assets. 8. Don't overpay for earnings either. Don't let the PE ratio be higher than 15 when using the last 12-month earnings. An alternative today is to invest in an index fund, which by definition will have returns similar to the average of the market. If you are satisfied with an average reward through your investing, you only need these 2 first takeaways. However, if you thirst for more, you will also need to consider takeaway number 3, how to invest as an enterprising investor. As it's so easy for the defensive investor to get the average return of the market, it would seem a simple matter to beat the market. If you just devote a little more time to investing than these average investors do, right?
Trade crypto at one of the lowest costs on average with Robinhood. Robinhood helps protect your crypto so you can trade with confidence. Explore and trade over 25 popular crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and more. Automate crypto purchases for as low as $1. Get more from your crypto platform.
To be an enterprising investor and to beat the market is much more demanding than such a logic suggests. It requires patience, discipline, an eagerness to learn, and a lot of time. Many professionals and private investors alike aren't suited for this. It's easier to fall victim to the price fluctuations of Mr. Market than one could possibly imagine. Just listen to these 2 statements from the early 2000s, at the peak of the dot-com bubble, made by the chief investment strategist at 2 large mutual funds.
It's a new world order. We see people discard all the right companies with all the right people with the right visions because their stock price is too high. That's the worst mistake an investor can make.
Is the stock market riskier today than 2 years ago simply because the prices are higher? The answer is no. But the answer is yes, yes, yes. Of course, both statements turn out to be costly for the investors who put their money in these funds. Since the profits that companies can earn are finite, the price the intelligent investor should be willing to pay for these companies must also be finite. Price is truly an important factor for the enterprising investor. Just like the market tends to overvalue companies when they have been growing fast or is glamorous for some other reason, it tends to undervalue the ones with unsatisfactory development. The intelligent investor should therefore try to avoid so-called growth stocks as much as possible. Why? Simply because the investment decision is based relatively more on future earnings, and future earnings are less reliable than current valuations. If you, on the other hand, can find a company which is valued lower than its net working capital, you essentially pay nothing for all the fixed assets such as buildings, machinery, goodwill, etc. The net working capital can be calculated by subtracting total liabilities from current assets. Some companies were proven truly profitable during Graham's investment career. Unfortunately, they are rare today, except during tough bear markets. Luckily, Graham suggests an additional method of finding investments for the enterprising investor. These criteria are similar to the ones that the defensive investor should use, but the constraints are looser, allowing for the enterprising investor to consider more companies. Note that there is no constraint at all regarding company size. Also, some diversification should be applied, but the number of companies held isn't carved in stone for the active investor. In analyzing a company, the enterprising investor should also study its annual financial reports. Graham has written a whole book on this subject called The Interpretation of Financial Statements, so we should speak more about this on another occasion. Takeaway number 4. Insist on a margin of safety. There's one risk that no careful consideration can truly eliminate: the risk of being wrong. You can, however, minimize this risk. To do this, you must insist that every investment you make has a margin of safety. As mentioned before, the price and value of a company is not always the same. When the price is at most 2/3 of its calculated value, the investor has found a company with enough margin of safety. You wouldn't construct a ship that sinks if 31 Vikings board it if you know that it regularly will be used to transport 30 of them. Neither should you invest in a stock that you think is worth, say, $31 if it currently is priced at $30. It might be that your calculation is wrong. In the first case, a group of angry and wet Vikings might hunt you down. In the second, you might postpone your financial freedom by a couple of years. I don't know which situation that I consider to be worse. Use margins of safety. A formula used in the book can give you some heads up regarding what the value of a company is, and therefore also if it can be bought with a margin of safety. Value equals to current normal earnings times 8.5 plus 2 times expected annual growth rate. The growth rate should be equal to the expected yearly growth rate of earnings for the next 7 to 10 years. Here's how much the 3 largest companies of the S&P 500 are worth according to the formula in September 2018. Note that we can use the formula backwards too, to trace how much these companies must grow in the coming 7 to 10 years for today's stock prices to be rational. There's a huge discrepancy here. Amazon is expected to grow at 74% per year according to its stock price, while Apple is expected to grow at a mere 5.8%. Do you think that this is reasonable? Takeaway number 5. Risk and reward are not always correlated.
Acorns lets me focus on today's goals, while they handle tomorrow's. Being the financial wellness app built for everyone, Acorns makes it easy to invest like an expert.
According to academic theory, the rate of return which an investor can expect must be proportional to the degree of risk that he's willing to accept. Risk is then measured as the volatility of the returns from the investment, meaning how much it has differed historically from its expected value. Graham doesn't agree with this statement. Instead, he argues that the price and value of assets often are disconnected. Therefore, the return that an investor can expect is a function of how much time and effort he brings in his pursuit of finding bargain assets. The minimum return goes to the defensive or passive investor, while the maximum goes to the enterprising investor who exercises maximum intelligence and skill. Consider this. It's 4 a.m. in the morning and you've been out drinking in the streets of Moscow together with your friends. You decide that it's too early to call it a night, and therefore you end up in the more obscure parts of town. At a particularly ambiguous bar, you're approached by a man who asks, "Do you want to play a game?" "Well, of course, games are fun," your bravest and least sober friend replies. The man puts a revolver in front of you, which is loaded with a single bullet. "I'll give you $10,000 if you dare to take a shot. Russian roulette." Your drunk friend reaches out for the gun, but you stop him. "I think we'll pass on this one," you politely inform the man. "I thought so," he replies. "What about $100,000 for taking 2 shots?" Now, this story represents the academic way of demanding a higher potential reward for taking a higher risk. In the first offer, you were to receive $10,000 at a 16.7% risk of blowing your brains out. In the second offer, the reward is $100,000 because the risk of putting a hole through your head has increased to 33.3%. Seems logical, right? But stock market investing doesn't have to be like that. Remember that price and value are not the same. When you buy a company at 60 cents on the dollar, you have a great potential reward and a low risk. Furthermore, if you can find another company that you can buy at 40 cents on the dollar, you have found an even better potential reward combined with an even lower risk. How could anyone in their right mind argue that it's riskier to buy a dollar at the price of 40 cents than to buy a dollar at 60 cents just because the potential reward is higher? Quick recap of the 5 takeaways. Firstly, the market tends to be over-optimistic and too pessimistic from time to time. Don't let this influence what you think the true value of your assets are. Instead, see it as a business opportunity where you get to deal with a person who has no idea of what he's doing. Secondly, the defensive investor should go for a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds, where the stock category consists of primarily low-priced issues. Thirdly, the enterprising investor should also aim for stocks that show lower price tendencies. If he can find a company that is trading below its net working capital, he might have found his El Dorado. The fourth takeaway is that the intelligent investor should insist on a margin of safety when acquiring an asset. And finally, takeaway number 5 is that risk and reward aren't necessarily correlated. What do you think of Graham's advice? Are they still as applicable today as they were back in the 1970s? Share your thoughts with other viewers in the comments below. As always, if you want me to summarize a specific book on investing, personal finance, or money management, please comment on that as well. And if you find that any of the takeaways of this book is especially interesting and want me to elaborate on it, don't be shy. You may comment on that too. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one.
They begin the drive with Williams. And he'll manage to pick up about 4 at second down.
Well, on every play call, you realize it's not going to go for a touchdown.
You can also save and record everything. Yes, everything to your DVR. And watch whenever you want. All while skipping the ads. Philo makes streaming easy. Because we're TV...
Have you heard the story about Ronald Reed, the janitor that had $8 million in savings when he died in 2014? Yeah, you heard that right. Janitor. $8 million. And he didn't win the lottery or inherit the money either. He just saved consistently throughout his life, while letting the wonders of compounding do its thing. The moral is that your behavior with money is oftentimes more important than how intelligent you are. Even if you don't have a diploma from Harvard or work on Wall Street, you can become rich by just behaving in a sound way. As Morgan Housel puts it, financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill, where how you behave is more important than what you know. Spend your next 10 to 15 minutes on this video and you might excel on the soft skill of investing. This is a top 5 takeaway summary of The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And this is The Swedish Investor, bringing you the best tips and tools for reaching financial freedom through stock market investing. Takeaway number 1. Pay the price. Let's say that you want a new, nice watch. You go to the store to check out the offerings. You are really after something that will impress your friends and the lovely lady that you're dating. You now have a choice. Either you pay for the watch, or you steal it and run, because you have done your cardio, right? My guess is that you would choose option number 1, no matter your physical capacity. You would take out your card and swipe that thing. Do the right thing. The point is that you know that having a new watch comes with a price, a fee. And it's the same with investing. It comes with a price too. Throughout the videos on this channel, there are some recurring takeaways for high returns. One of them being a somewhat concentrated portfolio, with Peter Lynch perhaps being the exception. The concentrated portfolio brings with it a characteristic to your performance. It will be volatile. This is the price, the fee, for having high returns in the stock market over the long term. If you don't have the stomach to stay the course when your net worth decreases by, say, 20% during a single week, as 2 of your major holdings report quarterly earnings below what analysts expected, don't aim to maximize your returns, because the higher the returns, the higher this fee typically is. Let's say you already 10 years ago could visualize Netflix's bright future. You invested a large portion of your net worth in the stock. Well, you would be quite a rich person today. However, could you afford paying the price for this journey? Netflix has, during this period, had many major downturns. Would you have sat still in that boat during 2011, for example, when Netflix lost tons of customers and the stock price fell 80% from its peak during the ensuing months? Your portfolio returns would look terrible. What would you tell your spouse and your kids? Could you stomach facing them, knowing that you might have endangered their future? Would you still think that being almost all in Netflix is a good idea? This is, of course, an extreme example, but even if you have something less extreme than an all-in Netflix approach to investing,
you'll have to pay the price of volatility nonetheless. Let's say that you bought an S&P 500 index fund in 1980. You'd still have to face about 13 years combined when your investment portfolio was down 20% from its high, and about 8 months when it was down 50%. That's tough. Stock market investing is a great thing that enables wealth creation like few other options. But don't try to fool yourself. It doesn't come for free. All investors will experience volatility, and you have to look at this as the price you pay for your future. Takeaway number 2. Never enough.
It's a very interesting phenomenon that you can hand somebody a $2 million bonus and they're fine until they find out that the person next to them got $2.1 million, and then they're sick for the next year.
Spend all day at a bake sale and make $20 in a day? Or sell your brownie recipe online and make $200 in your sleep? Work smarter. No.
Capitalism is great at doing two things: generating wealth and generating envy. The urge to surpass your neighbors, peers, and friends can help energize your hard work and strive to really make it. And, of course, being motivated into becoming more productive and doing meaningful work is a good thing. But social comparison can also cause us to feel like we're never enough. Let's look at some statistics. To belong to the top 1% highest income earners in the US, you'd have to earn somewhere around $500,000 a year. That's what a highly specialized doctor, let's call him Bill, earns. And by almost any standard, Bill would be considered rich. He can afford to drive nice cars, go on long vacations to exotic countries, perhaps hire someone to do work which he thinks is tedious, etc. Bill has been feeling good about himself and what he has achieved financially in his life. Well, that was only until he bought a vacation home in the Hamptons and realized that he had Stan as his neighbor. Stan belongs to the top 1% of the 1%. He is a CEO of quite a large public company and earns a staggering $10 million per year. Now, you'd hope that at least Stan would be satisfied with his financial achievements, but nope. This guy was a childhood friend of Michael Jordan, and this all-time great basketball player is someone who belongs to the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And well, compared to Michael's fortune of about $2 billion, Stan's yearly salary of $10 million suddenly seems like peanuts. Does it end here? Well, no, it doesn't, because Michael occasionally attends parties with celebrities, where a guy named Jeff Bezos shows up. Bezos is the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And he increased his net worth by about $75 billion in 2020, now sitting at something like $200 billion. There's always a bigger fish. The type of envy which has emerged from comparisons of this kind has caused a lot of people to do foolish things throughout history. Some have leveraged their portfolios to the teeth in order to move up to a higher pyramid, just to lose it all and then commit suicide. Some have acted on insider information and lost both personal reputation and then later their freedom when they've gone to jail. Many have forsaken their families and then had their partners leaving them or cheating on them, or both, as a result. By watching this channel and learning on how to become a successful investor, chances are that you will at some point reach a level of financial freedom that the average Joe can only dream about. But you need to, at some point, accept that enough is enough.
We will not trade something that we have and need for something that we don't have and don't need, even if we kind of like to have it.
Takeaway number 3. Crazy is in the eye of the beholder. At a first glance, it seems like a lot of people do crazy things with their money. Some spend it in ridiculous amounts on ridiculous items, and others hide it under their mattresses. But the thing to remember is that people come from different backgrounds, with different childhoods, different parents, different life experiences, and different educations. All this adds up to different perspectives and different values. What seems crazy to you might make total sense for me. Morgan uses the example of lottery tickets in the book. The lowest income households in the US spends more than $400 per year on the lottery. This is 4 times more than the average in the highest income group. Combine this with the fact that more than a third of Americans cannot come up with $400 for an emergency. Do these people spend their emergency buffer on lottery tickets? Seems crazy, doesn't it? But again, we do not have the same perspective as these individuals. Try to see it from their perspective. They live paycheck to paycheck, with little room to save money. They often lack education, and thus they also lack a nice career trajectory. They can't afford a nice vacation or a new car, and they can't put their children through college without a mountain of debt. Buying a lottery ticket is their way of buying into the dream that many of us already live. That is why they buy more lottery tickets than we do. Not so crazy after all, perhaps. So, how does this make you a better investor? For one thing, by acknowledging that we are different, we become less tempted to copying an investment portfolio or strategy which doesn't suit our own goals. For example, our risk profile might be higher than that of a billionaire's, as our focus is more on the getting rich part and not so much about staying rich. Copying the billionaire's portfolio might be suboptimal for your goals. Acknowledging differences can also help us to say no more easily to investments that are outside our own circle of competence. Take GameStop, for example. As I am not a trader, I didn't participate in this drama at all. It's simply not my card to play.
We are Gemini, America's crypto exchange. We make buying, selling, and storing crypto easy. Be in control of your money with no delays, fast trading, and withdrawals. The safest place for your crypto.
Understanding different people's perspectives, or at least that there are different lenses to see the world through, will help you make better sense of our society and lead you on the path that is yours. Takeaway number 4. Peekaboo! What does the Great Depression, World War II, the financial crisis, and COVID-19 all have in common? They were all events which shaped our society. They had huge impacts on the financial markets, and they were pretty much impossible to foresee. Nassim Taleb, who is one of my favorite authors, would refer to these events as black swans. The definition of a black swan is that 1. It's an outlier. Nothing that has happened before can convincingly point to even the possibility of the event. 2. It carries an extreme impact. 3. It becomes explainable only after the fact. Human nature fools us into believing that we should have been able to know it would happen all along. Imagine it is Black Monday, 1987. How would you have reacted to the market losing almost 1/4 of its value in a single day? Would you have been one of the individuals that shouted, "Sell! Sell!" Or would you have been able to weather the storm? Perhaps putting in additional chips which you kept on the sidelines. Here's an interesting fact. If you invested in the S&P 500 index 20 years ago, but you missed out on the 4 best performing stock market days, you'd have a 164% return instead of 291%. That's quite a big difference. The moral of this takeaway is that it's more useful to prepare yourself, both mentally and financially, for a disaster which you cannot foresee than hoping that you're able to react for everyone else. Stop listening to macro projections. The things that will cause big fear among the investment community in the future are the things that are unlikely to be foreseen anyways. Takeaway number 5. The seduction of pessimism. If I were to give you a bunch of reasons to why the market will crash later this year, mentioning the gigantic US governmental debt, that stimulus checks may lead to the return of inflation, and perhaps something about a new strain of COVID-19, you would most likely be intrigued, and perhaps end up with quite a negative view of where in the market cycle that we are at the moment. Were I instead to give you examples of why things probably will continue to get better, by showing how life expectancy is rising, how sustainable energy is getting cheaper, or how computing power is exploding, you would most likely shrug your shoulders and not think twice about it. We all know that the pessimistic person sounds so very intelligent, and the optimist sounds naive in comparison. Why is that? Daniel Kahneman, the author of Thinking Fast and Slow, says that asymmetry towards loss and listening to pessimists is an evolutionary trait. When directly compared or weighted against each other, losses loom larger than gains. Organisms that treated threats as more urgent than opportunities have a better chance to survive and reproduce. We tend to listen to pessimists more carefully, not only for evolutionary reasons, but also because progress happens much slower than setbacks do. Progress rarely happens overnight, but setbacks often do. Because tragedies and setbacks happen during much shorter time periods, it's much easier to create an intriguing and persuading story around it, and thus it receives more attention. To create an optimistic story about the future, we must look at longer time horizons. This often becomes more vague and less dramatic. Knowing that you will perhaps be more fascinated by a pessimist and less so by an optimist can perhaps help you becoming less asymmetric towards this in the future. The world is better than you think, as Sweden's Hans Rosling would have said. So, you are not going to get rich in the stock market without paying the price of volatility. Envy is the worst of the 7 deadly sins. Never risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. Different perspectives cause different courses of action to become reasonable or rational. Instead of trying to foresee disasters, prepare yourself mentally and financially so that you can survive them. And be careful when taking investment advice. Understand that pessimism appeals more to your survival instincts than optimism does. That was it for today, but that was not it from Morgan Housel. Check out his book, it's a real gem. Here's a suggestion on what you can watch next if you want to understand more about human psychology and its relation to money. Cheers!
Join the millions of people who securely trade popular crypto assets at one of the lowest costs on average with Robinhood.
I've always loved technology, but one thing that drew me to IT is I love helping people from...
Daniel Kahneman is a Nobel Prize awarded psychologist who is most famous for his work on the psychology of judgment and decision-making. In 2011, he released the book Thinking Fast and Slow on these subjects. Thinking Fast and Slow presents the concepts of how the human mind perceives and analyzes its surroundings by introducing 2 systems. System 1, which is the fast thinking, and System 2, which is the slow thinking. This book is not about investing, but Kahneman's concepts have great implications in any investor's decision-making process. Therefore, for each takeaway, I will present the concept in general at first, and after that, I will talk about the implications for you guys as investors. Now, to get the most out of this video, I suggest that you grab a pen and a paper. To truly appreciate the work of Kahneman, you must see for yourself how you act in certain situations. Pause the video and do that now, please. You ready? Let's do this. Takeaway number 1. Fast and slow thinking. System 1 and 2 introduced. For this video, subjects are asked to count how many times the girls wearing white shirts have passed the ball. People can usually tell the correct number, which is 16. However, they fail to notice the gorilla who walks across the floor in the middle of the cut. 50% of people fail to notice this. I know that I did the first time I watched it. How is it possible to miss out on something so obvious? The answer lies within the 2 different systems that humans use to perceive and act in our environment. The first system, let's call it System 1, operates automatically, quickly, and with very little effort. System 1 is the fast thinking that Kahneman refers to in the title of his book. The second system, let's call it System 2 for simplicity, allocates attention to mental activities that requires effort when certain stimuli activate it. System 2 is the slow thinking, referred to in the title of the book. Both systems have been necessary for the survival of the human species. Problems occur when System 1 is influencing a System 2 decision in an unfavorable way, or when System 2 is left out of that decision-making process altogether. System 2 can be seen as a very lazy person. He's a great diagnostician, but tries to save his energy whenever possible, and is often influenced by the more outgoing and active System 1. In the case of the gorilla, System 2 had its full attention on counting how many times the ball was passed, and therefore failed to notice the gorilla. Implications for the investor. Well, there are many of them, as we shall see in the following takeaways. One that is related to the laziness of System 2 is that if you start with automatic monthly transfers, you are more likely to achieve your financial goals. To cancel a monthly deposit is an activity for System 2, since you are interrupting a pattern. On the other hand, if you don't use automatic monthly transfers, every single deposit you make will have to activate System 2. Use the laziness of System 2 to your advantage instead of your disadvantage. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy this video.
You don't need a lot of brains in this business. I mean, I've always said you got an IQ of 160 to give away for requests to somebody else because you don't need an investment. What you do need is emotional stability.
50 on the way up, 80 down. 50 up, 80 down.
But plenty of people will try and trade a volatile market like this with incredibly tight stops.
Let's move on to something completely unrelated. Which word hides behind this word fragment? And what about this one? Did you come up with investor and fit? Inventor and fat would also match, but you are not as likely to pick these. The reason why you're inclined to choose investor and fit is called the priming effect, and that's our second takeaway. Moments before I showed you the fragmented words, you watched a couple of cuts that were related to the subjects of fitness and investing. Although the words investor and fit weren't stated explicitly, they primed the idea of them. A wonderful example that Cayman brings up in the book is one where young students have been primed with words associated with being old. They are then asked to walk from the current room to another one down the corridor, where the next assignment is waiting for them. The students who were primed moved slower, imitating an old person in the control room who weren't primed with the idea of being old. Now that's powerful. Implications for the investor. Priming has huge consequences for investors. Running for the exit door during market crashes is one of them. Although priming isn't the only psychological bias in effect during a bear market, it's certainly one of them. The financial news that are telling us to get out are very hard to ignore. System 1 can't recognize where data comes from, nor the quality of the data. With this in mind, consider another example. A friend at work recommends a stock. You later read on a forum about the same positive view. After that, you find an analysis from one of the famous financial newsletters that was published a week ago with the same positive opinion. Although it's highly likely that both your coworker and the person on the forum have based their opinions on the recently published professional analysis, you treat the data as three different sources, confirming the same thing, that the stock is a sound investment. You can't avoid being primed, but you can reduce the effect that it has. My recommendation is that you must commit to being consistent to an investment process. For instance, you put X% of your monthly salary into a brokerage account, no matter whether the market has gone up or down. You or sell a company when it fulfills a couple of predefined criteria, no matter if your best friend is advising you to or not. Please answer the following two questions, without support from Google. Are there more or less than 16 Americans for every Swede? How many Americans are there for every Swede? Now, on to the next set of questions. Can you fit more or less than 44 Swedes into one USA? By area, I mean.
Not super huge. Maybe not counting on to be that inline.
Translate entire websites in one tap. Get Chrome with Google Translate built in.
On 1st and 10, Prescott.
We have searched all over the world for the best possible cocktail. We've measured them, we've tested them, but before you, how many Swedes can you fit into one USA? For the first set of questions,
There are more than 16 Americans for every Swede. Approximately there are 32 Americans for every Swede. 320 million versus 10 million. For the second set of questions, you can't fit that many Swedes into one USA. Approximately, you can fit 22 Swedes into one USA. Now comes the interesting part. Was your answer higher or lower than the actual number for the first set of questions? My guess is that it was lower. Now what about the second set of questions? Higher or lower? If you're like most people, it should be higher. The secret to this trick is called the anchoring effect, and this is our third takeaway. When faced with an estimation that you don't know the solution to, you use whatever other values that you suspect can be connected to the solution. In this case, the 16 from the first problem and the 44 from the second act as anchors. System 1 will prime you towards these numbers, although they might not be relevant for the problem at all. Anchoring is used frequently by retailers. When you see a price tag with before $300, now only $150, it's difficult to not think of it as a bargain. Implications for the investor. Anchoring is a bias that is affecting us when we try to make rational investment decisions as well. Consider this stock price chart. Would you say that this company is cheap? Most people know that you can't answer that question by simply regarding the price chart of a stock. But we are somewhat tempted to answer, yes, it's cheap. It's almost 3 times as cheap as in the beginning of 2017. This is all due to the anchoring effect. And although people don't want to admit it, this is one of the reasons as to why private investors are overrepresented in buying previous losers in the market. Never pick stocks based on those premises. Please take a moment to answer this question. You have been exposed to a disease which causes certain but painless death in 7 days. The risk of you catching it is 1 in 1,000. How much would you be willing to pay for a vaccine that will cure you? You have no way to know if you are contaminated or not. Now, consider another question. Volunteers are needed for research on a new drug, but there's a risk that you catch a deadly disease. This happens in 1 out of 1,000 trials. The disease is painless, but you will certainly die in 7 days if you catch it. How much would you demand to be paid to participate? Most people demand a much higher payment in the second example than they are willing to pay to cure themselves in the first. Reportedly, subjects tend to demand 50 times more for the second than the first, although, from a mathematical standpoint, they are identical. They are both answers to the question, how is a 1 in 1,000 probability of dying in 7 days priced?
So they just need 1 yard here to pick up the first down. They'll try and run for it with Sanders.
The reason why people tend to price the first example lower is due to the framing effect, and this is our fourth takeaway. The framing effect states that different ways of presenting the same information evokes different emotional responses. Consider the 2 examples again. It feels much worse to be on the losing side of example 2, as you in that case took an active decision. Just neglecting to act, as in example 1, is much more emotionally acceptable. Basically, you can just blame bad luck. Implications for the investor. I consider annual reports to be one of the greatest assets when I evaluate if an investment is worthy of my money or not. They are, however, subject to a lot of framing bias. Although the company rarely will straight up lie to you, they are often free to choose how they present certain statistics. Consider this announcement, which could have been a statement from a shareholder's letter. Our company is breaking new records this year. Our revenues are up 12% compared to last year. When you see something like this, you must insist on digging deeper. This might be great and all, but what about earnings? Oh, well, we had a temporary increase in procurement costs and experienced increased competition, so our marketing costs also increased. Earnings are down by 20%. Another company might state something along these lines. Our company is breaking new records this year. Revenues are up 12%. Our profits are up 50%. Also, this is the best growth on a year-to-year basis ever experienced. Once again, this is probably not the whole story. How is the market doing? Well, competitors are actually growing faster than we are, at a pace of 20% yearly. So we have lost market shares this year, just like we did last year. Moral of the story. A number or statement without its proper context can sound persuasive, but it's all due to the framing effect. Know this, and you might be able to avoid becoming a victim of it. Matthews International is a publicly traded company selling coffins for funerals. Do you want to invest in it?
The coverage downfield, equally good.
Introducing Fellow Stag EKG Pro and Pro Studio Edition.
Really like to make the short field pay off.
If you answered yes to this question, you A. have had Matthews International on your investment radar for a while, or B. are a madman who loves death and despair. If you answered maybe, congratulations, you passed the test, so to speak. A few of you probably answered no, falling for the fast thinking of System 1. This bias is called cognitive ease, or substitution, and it's the final takeaway of this video. It states that when faced with a difficult question, where a simple solution is not available, intuition still has a chance. It will have an answer ready for you, although it's not an answer to the original question. The question you faced, should I invest in Matthews International, was difficult, but the answer to an easier and related question, do I like funerals/coffins, came readily to your mind and determined your choice. Obviously, an investment decision can never be made with such limited amounts of information. Sure, the funeral industry might not be as hot as machine learning or drone technology are right now, but if Matthews International has great management, solid finances, competitive advantages, a strong distribution network for geographical expansion, and is priced at PE 5, you'd be a fool to decide that you're not going to invest in it just because you don't find the industry sexy enough. You cannot trust your gut when it comes to investment decisions. The reason is because your gut has substituted the original, complex question for a simpler, related one. Implications for the investor. Oh, well.
Back to throw.
I found this book to be very interesting, and the implications for investors are clear in many cases. Therefore, there will be a second part of this video, which I've either already produced, in which case I will link to it in the upper right corner now, or I will release it in a few days. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, don't forget to watch my latest video. You watched it? Great. Then here's another suggestion. Also, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to the Swedish Investor channel for more weekly videos.
Let's get this one. Robinhood can help you build your portfolio starting with just $1.
Joining me now is a young man who dropped out of Harvard and developed the Dub app, that is WDUB app, which helps people trade stocks like Nancy Pelosi and Warren Buffett. His name is Neil Wong, and he's just 23 years old. Okay, right from the start, how does your app let me trade stocks like Buffett or Pelosi?
Yeah, so Dub very simply, we're the first copy trading app. So instead of trading individual stocks, you're copying other people and doing what they're doing. So today we've got hundreds of portfolios, and they're people who have made and built trackers to track Nancy Pelosi's public filings, similar to Warren Buffett, and follow all their future trades automatically. And these portfolios are built by real hedge fund managers, expert traders, really brilliant minds that are out there. And the whole idea is to simplify investing. Stop picking up stocks. It's just multiply. It's just copying.
God damn!
Exactly.
Pressure gets there this time for the sack. DeMarcus Lawrence getting it once again. His third sack of the afternoon. Well, collectively as a defense, Charles, I think if you get 4 sacks a game, you're feeling really good. Now they have 6 as a unit.
And that type of a number, it's just staggering because there's so many ways to try and counteract it. But in this case, they've got no answers for this unrelenting pressure coming at their quarterback.
Flushed out right. This one caught by Ridley. And they're going to get him down well short of the first as he can only get this to the 30. So the completion results there in 9 yards. And it'll be 4th down. He was out there waving his arms. And when you got a quarterback out of the pocket looking for any help, I guess waving the arms is helpful.
It certainly is, because you got to get his attention, because now you're in scramble drill. So everyone's adjusting their routes, finding open space, and he found the right spot for the completion.
They're going to try and throw. Out to the right, he gets it to Lockett. And he's trying to get as much as he can, and boy, a lot's going to depend on the spot. They're going to give it to him. He needed 5. He didn't get much more than that, but it's enough for the 1st down. Now a nice throw here right side. He hauls it in. And he'll be out of bounds just shy of the 40. Back-to-back receptions for him, and it's another first down.
This offensive game plan has just been sensational. I mean, when you think about all the different ways they've gotten their receivers open so far, it's really been impressive. Scheme, design, execution.
And a dangerous throw there, incomplete. He threw that into coverage. It was nearly intercepted. Dallas, Texas is the spot, third quarter inside AT&T Stadium. Glad you're with us. 2nd and 10. Back to throw again. Here's a screen.
Come on, Pollard. God damn, bro. That defense is not that fucking good, dude.
Heck of a play there to get to him quickly and get him down for a loss.
I think they did a really nice job getting ready for this game, scouting, watching film, and understanding defensively what the play design was.
They'll stick with the passing game as he looks to throw. And he's going to lose yardage here. As they will switch ends as time is run out on this third quarter of play. 3 quarters in the books. We'll return with more after this. You're watching the NFL on EA Sports. Now on 4th down, on is the punt team sending this one away. There's no one there to stop it. Hits at the 8, but it carries all the way into the end zone for a touchback. And now Dallas gets set to take the field. Well, there are 2 scores on the plus side. Still time here in this 4th quarter, but maybe you start thinking about playing keep away.
Yeah, I think here's the situation.
Oh, my God, man. Now this nigga scrambling like Vic.
First downs. To keep up with your theme there, playing keep away, first downs, they can't touch the ball.
Line of scrimmage, the 28 now as they come
on,
up
defense.
on 2nd and
Give me some turnovers.
Prescott going to keep again. And he probably should have given that one off as he's going to get hit and taken down behind the line. This offense on 3rd down today, they're hitting at 60%, 6 out of 10 thus far. Here it's 3rd and 3. They'll try and run for it with Elliott. And he'll be tackled about 2 yards shy.
Good job, Simmons.
A 1-yard pickup leads to 4th down. Here's Brian Anger now as he's on to punt for the first time this afternoon. Call that a punt of 38 yards officially, and it'll be Titan football. Here's Tennessee ready to begin this drive offensively. Their defense was able to force the punt. That's the good news, but this is still a 2-score game, and they need points on this drive and in a relatively quick manner. They'll get it across the 35. It'll be 2nd down.
I feel like I could see what he was thinking on that carry. He wanted to follow that big tackle through the hole.
I need you to get 20 carries.
Getting 4 yards on the carry. I think he had designs on that one being bigger.
They go back to Pollard on 2nd down.
There we go.
Near the 45, they'll spot it at the 44. 63 yards rushing for him now as he's carried it 16 times. Now a play fake here on 1st down. Eluding the pressure right. Throw right side, caught by Ridley. And they'll work this down to the 40-yard line. Tackled there. Give them 16 yards there, a Tennessee 1st down.
All right, this is the time of the game where they're down a couple scores, and they've really got to get some yards in chunks, and they know the defense doesn't want to give those up, but they've got to find a way to take them anyway.
Now the question is, can they string a few of them? And he wins.
Ridiculous, my brother.
Micah Parsons picks up his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
And this dominant defensive performance continued on that play. This poor quarterback has not received the protection he needs and has had to pick himself up off the turf far too often.
Now this one complete downfield on the left side. Touchdown, Titans. Calvin Ridley with his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. And the Titans have made it a 1-score game again here in the 4th. So that's a really big play here in the 4th quarter. And don't look now, they're right back in this game.
Did it feel to you as it did to me?
Oh, my
maybe a little bit soft in what they were lining up with on defense? Almost like they were protecting the lead rather than trying to make a play.
And now that lead is down to just 1 score. The lead cut to just 4 as they kick it away and turn things over to their D. And this will not be
that got sacked.
Back of the end zone for a touchback. Dallas offense set for this next drive. Their lead back down to 1 score after the touchdown a moment ago. First down's a must on this drive as they start out here 1st and 10. Meanwhile, Prescott's thrown into the hands of Pickens. And a good job to get him to the ground quickly right there at the 36-yard line. The drive starting with a first down, 11 yards on that pickup.
Well, it may seem a little unorthodox to some people. Got the lead, 4th quarter, yet he's still firing away. I think he believes that's the best way to go ahead and win the game.
Yeah, a lot of coaches say, let's just run the football, be conservative. He's sticking to his game plan.
No, that is his game, and that's what they're going to ride.
A first down throw for Prescott.
Oh, my God.
Well, the coverage a little too good there, and it's 2nd down. Now Prescott. Completes this one to Pickens. And able to get this one across the 45 before he's brought down. It's a first down, and that catch also puts him at 150 yards receiving now for the game. To throw is Prescott. And he's going to be brought down here in the backfield. Harold Landry coming in from that outside linebacker spot. He gets him down. It's a loss of 5. Coming up now on a 2nd and 15 following that sack. Prescott from the gun. It's caught on the right side. Williams.
How you say? Man, bro.
Before he takes it inside the 40.
Oh, my God.
21 yards on the catch and run.
That turned into a very well-orchestrated play right there. Going to work his way out of the backfield to the right. And after he looked it in, he found plenty of space to roam and picked up big yardage.
Oh, no, he lost the football. It's picked up by the Titans. And a return out shy of midfield to the 46-yard line.
Well, partner, here's where team football gets tested a little bit because I know the defensive guys were over there chilling on the sidelines, and all of a sudden, they heard the sudden change call because that fumble puts them right back on the field, and they've got to go out and finish the game now themselves.
Absolutely. Nursing that slim lead here in the 4th, a costly turnover. They'll run with Pollard to begin the drive. Bust through the tackle. And he's got this one across midfield into Cowboy territory. 69 yards rushing for him now to this point. From the 48-yard line, here's 2nd and 4. Here's Pollard again. And they'll get this just to the 47. 1-yard gain.
That play reminded me a lot of a former teammate of mine. We used to call him the trash man. His ability to sift through traffic and make plays was uncanny.
And that's exactly what you want from your Mike linebacker. Trying to run forward with Pollard. And he will have first down yards.
I just thought about it. This is former team.
Give him 6 yards, and they do convert on 3rd.
Another carry for their leader and a good one. It's crunch time. They'll need him to continue to be productive in both the run and passing game in order for them to try and snatch a victory.
Rolling to his right. Oh, poor decision there, and it's going to be intercepted. The 20. And he takes this one back into the end zone, and the Cowboy defense has a touchdown. Aubrey now for the point after. And that one pushes the lead up to 11. So the defense creating some points, not only getting the interception, but then returning it to the end zone for the pick 6. Taken at the goal line. He takes this near the 25. Just a little pass there. Call it the 26. The Titan offense now working their way back onto the field. We'll see if they can band back together after the pick six. It hurt badly, but still within striking distance. And he's going to be intercepted a third time. Picked up by Trayvon Diggs. And he'll bring this one back to the 29. Well, time, certainly not on their side offensively. They had to take some chances, but that interception will further hinder their already slim chance at victory.
Yeah, and you're talking about time not on their side, but it certainly is on the defensive side, and they understood that. They knew they had to press it a little bit, and they planned accordingly, and what a benefit for them, able to pick that one off and hopefully put this game away.
In motion, that's Tolbert. They'll fake the jet sweep, and instead of give up the middle to Williams. And he'll get a couple here down to the 22.
Brandon, I've got to think this offensive line has got some smiles on its faces. And I know it sounds crazy, but they practiced for this back in training camp. They knew they'd be in situations where there'd be extra defenders in the box coming after him.
And he's going to go down here, a sack. They push him back to the 34. Harold Landry able to get in there for his second sack of the afternoon. And his kick here is good. And that will extend their lead even further. So that maybe not a knockout blow, but I suppose certainly every little bit helps when you're trying to salt one away in the fourth.
Well, the possibility of being beaten by 2 late touchdowns or at least sent to overtime does exist. But time, definitely a big factor at this stage of the game, is in their favor.
The Titans now just about ready to take over. They're sort of seeing themselves spiral out of control. Let's see if they can get things back on track.
And this is where the coach is walking that line of being calm and really being firm with his team. I had one tell me once, when we're having a tough patch, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And if we kept having a rough patch, he said, but you got to do something to make it pass. And that's what they have to do. They've got to get some control back, get themselves reasserted, and calm things down.
See if they can get calm and reassert themselves here. And here's a throw taken in by Boyd. He will go out right near the 35-yard line. The catch and run, good for 24 yards. Clock management, definitely critical here if they want to get back in this game.
Absolutely agreed. They have to up the tempo in this case, down a couple of scores. Want to make sure they have a chance to win this ball game.
So from Cowboy territory now, here's 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. They'll look to throw again. This complete to Lockett. And brought down, but not before they're inside the 25. And now they're in the hurry-up. Again, he'll drop to throw. Returning right back to Lockett. And they've got it inside the 10 at the 8. 1st and goal, and they got to be thinking a chance to get right back into this football game. They'll run with Pollard, and they'll be driven back here, losing yards to the 9. 2nd down, goal to go. Operating from the gun, Moore. Left side complete to Lockett. And it's a Titans touchdown. Tyler Lockett, a 9-yard touchdown grab. And the Titans have got it back to within a score. So they get the score still down, but bottom line is they kept themselves in the game.
They did keep hope alive, Brandon. That's exactly what they did. Now they've got to deliver and finish things off.
They'll try and throw for it. And he's got it for the 2-point conversion. So they tack on a pair more here to narrow that deficit a bit further. He hits the big target for the 2-point try. Defenses hate those guys, especially around the goal line.
It's hard to decide who you're going to put on him. Are you going to put a smaller corner on him? Are you going to put a safety who doesn't have maybe the same coverage skills? How about a linebacker? He may have the size, but he's not used to really covering in space. That's why the tight end gives you such a great advantage when you're throwing the football.
And now here come the Cowboys. And with that last touchdown, I mean, we're set up for a good finish here. Some things to consider, Charles. Obviously, it's a very close game. You're in the fourth quarter. Defensively, they've got all 3 timeouts in their back pocket.
So the chess match really ramps up, doesn't it? Because in these situations, what do? Do you run the ball and kill the clock here? Or do you try and bury them with another score? And how about defensively? Do you use your timeouts at earliest opportunity? Or wait till you hit the 2-minute warning? So there's a lot going into this one. Let's see how each side goes about their strategy.
On second down, here's the option. And a short gain there, so get it up only to about the 24. So fresh out of the 2-minute warning, and here's another timeout taken with 1:55 remaining. This is a big third down, and you'd have to think we'd see a timeout right away if they can't stop him here. Up the middle, here's Elliott.
Are you fucking serious? Oh my God!
Shy of the 40, down at the 49. Now Tennessee going to use the second of their timeouts. And they'll be disappointed to have to burn one there after giving up the first down.
That's unfucking believable, bruh.
They keep on the ground with Elliott. Now the Titans will use their third and final timeout as they'll talk things over prior to this upcoming second down play. They'll try and run down some clock with Williams. And he has a big gain inside the 40 before being dropped.
I have to check into myself a little bit, Brandon, because right now I could be in that huddle with that offensive line. I know exactly what they're saying. If you call a pass play here, we're going to call a timeout. We got control of this thing. Get him behind us and let's go.
You've probably heard the age-old stock market advice to buy low and sell.
Prescott, he goes down to a knee, and that should just about do it.
Listen, anytime you take a knee to end a game, that means you've won it. So it doesn't matter whether it's home or on the road, but there's something a little extra special about doing it in front of your home crowd, isn't there?
And the home crowd applauding. They're happy with what they've seen. Chalk this one up in the left-hand column for a win.
Yeah, that's right. Head to the locker room, throw the wristbands in the crowd for the kids, your gloves, your towels. Get to share it with the home team.
Charles, normally when you see a group score this many points, it's a complete blowout. But instead, they needed every single one of those in this close, high-scoring affair.
And Brandon, I'm still on the edge of my seat after that one, because when you have that much scoring and it still comes down to a one-possession game at the end, that's not something we see very often. In this case, these offenses, they brought it. The defenses, they're going to need some work going forward.
So that'll do it for my partner, Charles Davis, and the best darn crew in the industry. I'm Brandon Garth. This is the presentation of the NFL on EA Sports. It's a win for the Cowboys as we sign off and say so long from Arlington.